In the name of the loving, life-giving, and liberating God who is Blessed Trinity. Amen. You may be seated. So, I don't know if any of you frequent any Episcopal Facebook groups, but some of the arguments that crop up about our liturgy and theology in those groups can become positively unhinged. There was one that I saw about the prayer for revival, which will be prayed at the General Convention this year. People were upset that a prayer of evangelism asked God to send your Spirit to set us ablaze so that the world might come to see and know us. That wasn't actually the end of the prayer, but that is where people stopped reading. The main complaint was, since when has evangelism been about us rather than seeing God? Well, if you read 1 John today, then you might not be so surprised. In the middle of the text, the author says, "No one has ever seen God. If we love one another, then God lives in us. And God's love is perfected in us. We bear the image of God who is love when we love each other." Ironic, then, that we are instead tearing into each other on Facebook. Of course, loving each other doesn't mean that we have to agree. The Episcopal Church disagrees more than any other church that I have been a part of. But we still manage to gather around this table and to be made one. And that has an effect. Because as many arguments as I've seen on Facebook between Episcopalians, I've also seen a community of people trying to figure everything out together. That same woman who ranted about the prayer later posted an apology for how she reacted and how she handled the situation. She said, rightly, that it is good for us to think hard and discuss the theology that informs our prayers, but that she had posted in anger and reactivity rather than in love. To me, that is our passage from 1 John in action. A woman lashes out, stirs up several others to do the same, but when she sees how it was received and reflects on what she's done, she publicly apologizes and puts an end to the argument that she's fueled. God is love, and those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not reached perfection in love. It is easy when we mess up to double down, to let what we have said hold sway. We have put it out into the world and we will not take it back. That stance is birthed by fear, an attempt to save face, to not admit that we were wrong. It's birthed by a culture that is steeped in punishment, that teaches us to fear when we mess up. A culture that places a scale in front of us and demands that every stroke of bad is paid back in full. I think that God is different. I think God is more interested in setting us on and the world on the right path, in making sure, rather than in making sure that every bad deed is accounted for. It's a subtle difference, but it is still a difference. The same difference that I think exists between punishment and consequences. Consequences are a result of failing to love. They grow out of our action or inaction. They're not the same as punishment, which is doled out in response to our action or inaction. I think about this a lot as a new mom, waiting for that time when Julian will do something wrong. That's not entirely true. He has already done some things wrong. He grabs the cat's fur and pulls. He will grab my hair and pull. And though that's not how you treat either pets or people, Julian isn't doing that on purpose. And actually, I think a lot of what we do isn't on purpose. Like the Facebook argument I talked about at the beginning. The woman reacted poorly to something she thought wasn't quite right. But it wasn't her intention to hurt anyone, a fact that she recognized and apologized for. Julian doesn't yet understand anything beyond his own body and feelings. He hasn't developed empathy yet. And I think that's where most of our hurt comes from, a failure to empathize. I know my own mean-spirited pranks when I was a kid towards my brothers were because I couldn't empathize with them. I couldn't love beyond myself. And I remember that one of the punishments for this was sitting on the couch and holding hands. And this is what I mean when I say there's a difference between punishment and consequences. Because I hated every minute of sitting on the couch holding hands. I didn't think anything about my brothers. I thought about me and how I was forced to sit there. It didn't teach me empathy. But I do know that as I grew, I learned to see the look of hurt in other people's eyes. I could see when something I said hurt somebody else. I learned to be aware of people outside myself, to empathize with them because I could see the effect of my actions on their faces. As I've grown, I've learned again and again how to love. And the mistake we make is thinking that we outgrow that at some point in our lives. We are all continuing to learn empathy. And I think that as we continue that, we will learn better and better how to love. Grace comes in being able to admit our mistakes, in getting up to try again. Grace probably also comes in not posting on Facebook when we are mad. Beloved, since God loved us so much, we also ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and God's love is perfected in us. May we never tire of learning to love each other, learning to be that community which loves God and loves all those around us. May this table always draw us together to be that community. May we always lay aside our differences, learn to eat together, and learn how to love better. Amen.